value of Zen resides not in its teachings but in its expressions. This powerful statement guides us today through a story of transformation. We are tracing how the powerful and meditative aesthetic of Chen Buddhism in China, a religious movement rooted in practice, was selectively adapted and then intensified into a comprehensive visual language by the military rulers of Japan, the samurai. It's a story of how an artistic point of view was weaponized for aesthetic effect. We're looking at two masterpieces right now, which were separated by 2 centuries and a sea. The first one on the left is a 13th century Chinese painting, The 6 Parmesans and the Chestnuts, and on the right, 15th century Japanese garden, Royenji Dry Garden, is a severe and disciplined physical space, and both of them celebrate the expression of Zen Buddhism. This is a story that begins in China with a religious practice called Chen Buddhism. Chen art wasn't just one style, but rather it included spontaneous, meditative ink works of monks and other court painters. Our goal is to understand the transformation of this visual expression and how did the subtle gray of the ink wash translated into hard and racked gravel of Kyoto. The answer is a story of selective adaptation. The samurai hand-picked Chinese painting traditions to build their spiritual world. The first tradition is the voice of monks themselves, Mukhi, the spontaneous chant style. Chen, which is the Chinese incident of Zen, meaning meditation, shows that, his art is like Yonyan Teptich, which is characterized by wet and atmospheric washes that captures a moment of intuitive alignment, or satori. It's art born of deep meditation and truly religious expression. But the Japanese also imported the visual antithesis, the disciplined, the structural power of South court painter Shiagyu. He was a court artist, not a monk, but representing a different aesthetic priority. Examine the mountains here. These are strong and angular and precisely controlled axe cut strokes. This style is represented by the order and the control and the technical precision, an aesthetic that deeply resonated with samurai ethos. Currently, we're looking at one of the two paintings by the Shiagyu called 12 Views of the Landscape, and we can see his artistic painting style reflected through these paintings. Here's the second painting of Shiagyu, which is called Pure and Remote View of Stream Hills, and his axe-cut brushstroke is also clearly visible from this painting. We must also acknowledge that the scholar's linear refinement wasn't just relied to other artists, but also Li Gonglin's influence. The Biamu, or plain drawing, associated with Li Gonglin, offers pure and elegant line work. This focuses on the line and divorced from the colors, show that the technical discipline highly prized by the scholars and monks alike. These were the visual elements Sesshu would force into new art. The true transformation begins when Sesshu Toyo wasn't just simply imitating them, but also transforming the Chinese paintings and internalizing the core vocabulary of the two opposing aesthetics, the free-spirited Chen aesthetic of Mukhi and the rigorous court aesthetic of Shiagyu, to develop a style that was powerfully and uniquely his own. His long landscape hand-stroke, completed in 1486, serves as a visual manifesto of this synthesis. Sesshu mastered the ability to speak in the two artistic languages simultaneously. For the background and the mist-shrouded distances, he uses soft and atmospheric ink of Chen masters like Mukhi, evolving the infinite and the spiritual and emptiness crucial to Zen thought, and this represents the meditative freedom through the painting. Here's another painting of Seishu Toyo, which shows the landscape of the Four Seasons. The landscape have one image on the top and the subsection of these images representing the four seasons at the bottom. For the foreground elements, the cliffs, the rocky structures, and the sturdy architectures, you can see how Seishu Toyo aggressively deploys Shago's signature bold, decisive axe-cut strokes. And the choice seems to be deliberate. It grounds the painting in discipline, reality. This fusion of soft and hard speaks directly to Zen paradox. That intuitive and sudden insight story is only achieved through rigorous and structured discipline. We also see further other painters adopting the same style and in their paintings, like Guri Sotan and another painting by Diagen. Both seem to be landscapes or hand scrolls. The Zen aesthetic then moved on beyond the canvas and explored into physical space under the samurai patronage of figures like Shogun Ashikaga Yoshimasa, who built the Zilbo Pavilion in Genkakuji. The art of school became the art of villa and garden. This is where the Japanese religious context truly generated something unique. The Zen Dry Garden seems to be a uniquely Japanese creation. Gardens in China were, although primarily used for wandering, but we see how Japanese dry garden were just there for the sake of seated contemplation. The vast expanse of the raked white gravel was not just water, but the direct three-dimensional physical manifestation of disciplined the Shago's influence. The 15 rocks were designed to be seated in a way that you can never see the whole arrangement at once, and this enforced the appreciation of incomplete that you must rely on internal intuition and not external perfection to achieve satori. The ideals that shape Seishu's landscape, restraint, emptiness, and asymmetry, soon found a new expression beyond the painted scroll. These pace that shows that what matters is not what represented, but what was left unsaid, and the dry garden turns out to be an act of seeing into meditation, a visual silence where form and void could coexist. The aesthetic permeated ritual life through the tree ceremony is also something that Japanese had reflected. The small, intimate tea room showed the severe and linear refinement of Li Gonglin style and stripped down into essential and natural elements. Every detail demanded a focused and disciplined appreciation for subtle beauty and a total immersion into the austere Zen world. So we see how we began from a subtle ghost of Parmesan painting by monk Muki, and we ended up with a tangible disciplined world of stone and racked gravel, dedicated to the samurai's aesthetic taste. The Zen visual expression evolved from a soft atmosphere of Chen China into a new, comprehensive, and powerful Japanese language of austerity and control. Thank you for listening